I woke up in my best friend's body that morning, her manicured hands trembling as they clutched the steering wheel of a stolen Tesla hurtling down I-95 toward Quantico. The pitch deck for my $335 million drone defense system, stolen by the very man I'd trusted with my life, was burning a hole in the passenger seat, encrypted USB drive glinting like a loaded gun. By the time the first black SUV crested the horizon in my rearview, sirens silent, but lights flashing like Judgment Day, I knew revenge wasn't just a plan, it was the only goddamn thing keeping this borrowed heart beating. You ever wonder what it feels like to lose everything in a single boardroom handshake? I did. Right up until the moment Dr. Elias Crow, my mentor, my lover's father, the silver-tongued bastard who built empires on other people's bones, slid that contract across the table and smiled like he was handing me the keys to the kingdom. Valerie, this is it, he'd said, his voice smooth as bourbon over ice, eyes crinkling with that fake paternal warmth that had suckered me in from day one at Blackthorn Dynamics. Your quantum shield prototype. It's revolutionary. Sign here. And we're golden. I signed. Hell, I practically begged to. 28 years old, fresh off a Stanford PhD in aerospace engineering. And I'd poured 3 years of my soul into that drone swarm tech, self-healing AI networks that could detect and neutralize hypersonic threats before they kissed American soil. It wasn't just code and circuits. It was my ticket out of the trailer park grit I'd clawed my way from in rural Ohio. The kind of breakthrough that could have made me untouchable. $335 million from the DoD. Headlines in defense news. Maybe even a TED Talk where I'd finally shut up my deadbeat mom about wasting my brain on boy toys and gadgets. But Elias? He saw dollar signs, not dreams. That night, after the pitch in the Crystal City Marriott, handshakes with generals sporting more stars than a Vegas slot machine, he popped the champagne in his Georgetown brownstone. My then-fiancé, Marcus Crow, his golden boy son, raised a toast with me, his arms slung around my waist like we were the power couple of the century. To Valerie, Marcus slurred, his breath hot against my ear. The woman who just made us all filthy rich. We made love on silk sheets that smelled like old money and regret. Marcus was always the charmer, tall, broad-shouldered, with that Ivy League jawline and a laugh that could disarm a room. We'd met at a DARPA mixer 2 years prior. Him fresh from Harvard Law, me dodging undergrads who thought engineer meant I fixed their laptops. He proposed 6 months in, on the observation deck of the Empire State Building, ring glinting like a promise. I said yes, because for the first time, someone saw the girl from the Rust Belt as more than a scholarship kid hustling for scraps. By dawn, the betrayal hit like a gut punch. I woke to my phone buzzing, voicemails from my own assistant, panicking.
Val.
The DoD's awarding the contract to Crow Innovations.
They say
you pulled out. What the hell? I bolted upright, sheets tangling around my legs, Marcus still snoring beside me. The contract I'd signed? It buried a clause in the fine print, a non-compete that funneled my IP straight to Elias's shell company. My prototype. My code. My blood, sweat, tears magnum opus. Repackaged overnight as Crow's Shield. And the kicker? To cover the theft, they'd pinned a fabricated ethics violation on me, leaked docs claiming I'd borrowed classified schematics from a rival firm during my Stanford days. A lie so slick it stuck. By 9 a.m., my security clearance was revoked, my Blackthorn badge deactivated, and whispers of industrial espionage slithered through the beltway like snakes in the grass. I confronted them in Elias's office that afternoon, storming past his secretary like a Category 5 hurricane. He sat behind his mahogany desk, tie loosened, sipping espresso from a cup that probably cost more than my mom's monthly rent. Marcus hovered by the window, phone in hand, avoiding my eyes. "You stole it," I spat, slamming the door so hard the framed Nobel nomination rattled. "All of it. My work, my future, gone. Because you couldn't resist padding your portfolio with Pentagon cash." Elias leaned back, steepling his fingers, that patronizing smile curling like smoke. "Valerie, darling, this is business. You are brilliant, yes, but naive. The world's not kind to idealists. Sign the NDA. Take the severance, $50K to keep quiet, and we'll call it a family matter." Family. The word twisted in my gut. Marcus stepped forward then, his hand on my shoulder, voice low and oily. "Babe, it's not personal. Dad needed this for the merger. We'll set you up somewhere else. Think of our future. Our future." The wedding invites were already printed, monogrammed VNC in elegant script. I shrugged him off, laughing a brittle, hollow sound that echoed off the bookshelves lined with leather-bound tomes he probably never cracked.
Future?
"You mean the one where I wake up every morning knowing I built your empire on my back? Screw that." I walked out with nothing but my laptop bag and a fire in my veins that no amount of bourbon could drown. That night, holed up in a dive bar off K Street, nursing a whiskey neat while CNN droned about Crow Innovations securing landmark DoD deal, I made the call that changed everything. Not to a lawyer. Those sharks would have bled me dry for a decade-long suit I'd lose on technicalities.
No.
To Lena Vasquez, the ghost in the machine, my underground contact from the DARPA days. Lena was a neurotech savant, blacklisted after a botched trial that left her with half a face scarred from experimental implants. We bonded over late-night hacks in the Stanford labs, her smuggling me black market neural chips while I debugged her code. "What if I told you?" she whispered over the burner line, voice crackling like static. "There's a way to slip into their skins? Literally." Project Echo, Elias's pet project, buried in the R&D vaults. Consciousness transfer via quantum entanglement. It's real.
Val.
Unstable as hell, but real. I should have hung up. Walked away. Started over in Silicon Valley or Austin, peddling indie apps to forget the sting. But revenge? It whispered sweeter than any apology. "Tell me more," I said. And just like that, the hook was set. The swap happened 2 weeks later, in Lena's basement lab beneath a nondescript row house in Anacostia. The air reeked of ozone and solder, fluorescent bulbs flickering over jury-rig servers humming like angry bees. Lena, her face a patchwork of synth skin and resolve, strapped me into the rig, a web of electrodes and 4 drips that looked more torture device than sci-fi dream. "It's one way for now," she warned, her good eye locking onto mine. "You'll jump into a host. Their body. Your mind. But pulling back, that's a crapshoot. And Elias, he's got fail-safes. If he suspects." "Forget it." I cut her off, pulse thundering as the sedative coursed in. Targets Marcus. I need to feel what it's like to be him, to unravel it from the inside. Why Marcus first? Because Elias was the kingpin, untouchable in his ivory tower. But his son? The weak link. The conscience I once thought he had. If I could crack him, make him spill the secrets, the buried ones, like how Elias had framed his own wife for embezzlement to climb the ladder. or the accident that sidelined Lena's career, I could topple the whole rotten kingdom. The world dissolved into white noise. A vertigo whirl of synapses firing like fireworks gone wrong. Then snap. I was him. Looking down at hands that weren't mine, broader, veined from weekend lacrosse games. A Rolex glinting on the wrist. The mirror in Marcus's foggy-bottom condo showed his face staring back, hazel eyes wide with my own shock. Holy shit, I breathed, voice deeper, smoother, laced with that East Coast privilege I'd always envied. The first hours were a blur of disorientation, shaving with his electric razor, the scrape foreign against my jaw, scrolling his phone. Heart sinking at texts from Elias. Son. Tie up the loose ends on Valerie. NDA by end of day. And worse. From me. The real me. Blowing up with unanswered pleas. But power? God. The rush. I accessed his emails. His vaults, blueprints of my stolen tech. Rerouted to offshore accounts. And the secret, a folder labeled V's Shadow. Docs proving not just the theft, but that I'd taken the fall for Marcus once before. 2 years ago. A lab mishap, faulty code that fried a test drone, nearly killing a tech. Marcus had written it, drunk on Red Bull and deadlines, but I'd debugged it last minute, claiming ownership to shield him. Elias covered it up, but the guilt? It festered. By noon the next day, I was in Elias's office as Marcus, pitching addendums to the DoD brass over Zoom. His voice steady while my mind raced. Federal agents? They were already sniffing, tipped by an anonymous leak Lena fired off from my old IP. Insider trading on the Crow deal, the Post would scream soon enough. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. That night, back in the condo, I poured a scotch, Marcus's favorite, Lagavulin 16, and stared at the city lights. The body felt wrong, heavy with his regrets, but it was mine now. And tomorrow, I'd make the call to Elias.
Set the trap.
Betrayal cuts deepest when it's family, after all. But revenge? It carves out the soul. Being Marcus Crow was like slipping into a bespoke suit tailored for a stranger, luxurious, but itching in all the wrong places. His morning started with a Peloton spin class in the condo's gym. Overlooking the Potomac where joggers blurred into specks of normalcy, I suddenly craved. I pedaled harder, sweat beading on his forehead, lungs burning with unearned cardio. Push it, Marcus. The app chirped, oblivious to the imposter grinding gears inside. By the time I showered, his eucalyptus body wash stinging my borrowed nostrils, I was ready to play the part. The first real test came at brunch with Elias. His favorite spot, a power lunch haunt in Georgetown, all exposed brick and overpriced avocado toast, where deals were sealed with mimosas and backslaps. I arrived early, nursing a black coffee, scanning the room for tails. Lena had warned me. The swap left echoes, neural ghosts that could glitch if stressed. Already, flashes hit me, Marcus's memories bleeding through like static on an old TV. A college kegger where he'd puked on a dean's shoes, the night he proposed, nerves twisting his gut because he knew, deep down, he was settling for the smart girl to please daddy. Elias swept in at 11, impeccable in a navy Brioni suit, barking orders into his AirPods about diverting the SEC inquiry. He air-kissed my cheek, his son's cheek, and slid into the booth, signaling the waiter with a flick of his wrist. Rough night? You look like hell. Son. I forced Marcus's easy grin, the one that disarmed boardrooms. Just the usual.
Dad.
Valerie's blowing up my phone again. Girl can't take a hint. His laugh was a bark. Genuine for once. Persistent.
I'll give her that.
But we've got bigger fish. The feds are circling, some bullshit leak about the pitch irregularities. You handle the cleanup? His pulse spiked. This was it, the opening. Yeah, about that. I dug into it last night. Turns out, Val might have had help. Remember that Vasquez chick from the Echo trials? She's got a grudge. Elias's fork paused midair, eyes narrowing over his poached eggs. Lena's name hung there like a guillotine blade.
He knew had to.
Project Echo wasn't just some moonshot, it was his crown jewel. A black-budget neural interface meant to enhance soldiers. But really, a tool for immortality. Swapping execs into younger bodies when the Viagra failed. He'd buried Lena after she blew the whistle on the human trials. Volunteers left catatonic. Minds fractured like cheap glass. Old news, he said finally, waving it off. Echoes mothballed. Focus on the contract. We've got a demo next week, quantum shield in the flesh. Nail it. And you're golden for the corner office. I nodded, spearing a bite of toast to hide the tremor. Golden. The word tasted like ash. As we ate, his phone buzzed incessantly, texts from lobbyists, alerts about stock dips. Power radiated off him like cologne, the man who'd schmoozed his way from a Brooklyn tenement to D.C. Royalty. Stepping on necks without a second glance. But beneath it?
Cracks.
A tremor in his hand when he reached for his wallet, a fleeting shadow when he mentioned Mom, his wife. Shipped off to a wellness retreat in Palm Springs after he framed her for skimming funds. Marcus's memories confirmed it. She discovered the Echo horrors. The test subjects vanishing into unmarked graves. To silence her, Elias planted evidence. Let the scandals swallow her career. She'd OD'd 6 months later. Ruled accidental. Family business, he'd told Marcus then, clapping his shoulder like it was a pep talk. I left brunch with a lead, Elias's safe house in McLean, where he stashed the Echo prototypes. Marcus had the code tattooed on his inner arm. A drunken dare from a Vegas trip. That afternoon, under the guise of a client lunch, I drove his Audi Q8 out to the Virginia burbs, heart hammering as I punched in the digits. The gate swung open to a modernist bunker disguised as a guest house, bulletproof glass, biometric locks humming like watchful eyes. Inside, it was a mad scientist's wet dream, cryopods lined with glowing vials, servers whirring through firewalls I'd recognize anywhere. My tech. Twisted. Quantum shield schematics intertwined with Echo code, drones not just defending borders, but deploying neural agents, hacking minds mid-flight. The betrayal deepened. Elias hadn't just stolen my pitch, he'd weaponized it, turning defense into domination. And the secret file? Buried in an encrypted drive labeled Redemption Arc, proof that the lab accident I'd covered for Marcus? It was no fluke. He'd sabotaged it deliberately, testing Echo on the drone techie who died, frying his brain to simulate a successful transfer. I'd taken the blame to protect him, thinking it was love. Idiot. Rage boiled, hot and unfiltered. I copied it all to a thumb drive, Lena's dead drop protocol kicking in. But as I slipped out, tires crunching gravel, the first glitch hit, a wave of nausea. Marcus's voice echoing in my skull. What are you doing?
Val?
This isn't you. Before fading to black. I came to in a Starbucks drive-thru, his car idling, barista tapping the window with my latte. Hours lost. Panic clawed up my throat. Lena's warnings rang true. The host body fought back, subconscious anchors pulling like quicksand. Worse. His phone lit up with a text from Elias. Feds at the office. Get home.
Now.
By the time I screeched into the condo garage, the news vans were already clogging the streets below. Crow Innovations under federal probe. The cheer-in screamed, my anonymous tip looming into a full-blown scandal. Insider trading. IP theft. Ties to black market neural tech. Lena had seeded it perfectly, doxing just enough to draw blood, without fingering me. Marcus's doorman nodded me through, oblivious. Upstairs, I paced the open-plan living room, Potomac glittering mockingly through floor-to-ceiling windows. The feds would grill me, tomorrow. Lies upon lies. Deny. Deflect.
Destroy.
But I couldn't. Not fully. As night fell, I cracked open his liquor cabinet, pouring a double while scrolling voicemails. One from the real me, my voice, frantic from whatever limbo Lena had stashed my body in. Marcus. If you're listening,
Tell him I know about Mom.
about everything. Make it stop. Tears, his tears, stung my eyes. For a heartbeat, I was her again. The Valerie who'd believed in second chances. But revenge doesn't negotiate. I dialed Elias. Voice steady as steel. Dad. It's bad. They're on to Echo. We need to talk tonight. The safe house. His paws stretched. Then, on my way. Burn anything sensitive.
Click.
The trap sprung. As I waited, shadows lengthening, I wondered about the cost. Slipping into his skin had shown me the man-child beneath, Marcus. Haunted by his father's shadow. Complicit but crumbling. Was destroying him justice? Or just trading one monster for another? Controversial? Hell yes. But in America's game of winners and wrecks, mercy was for suckers. Sirens wailed in the distance, feds closing in, right on cue. Showtime. The safe house loomed like a concrete confessional under the McLean moon, floodlights cutting swaths through the woods like accusatory fingers. I arrived first, Marcus's Audi purring to a stop beside Elias's Bentley, engine ticking cool as my nerves frayed. Inside, I'd rigged the place subtle-like. Lena's microdrones, thumb-sized buzzers cloaked in echo tech, hovering silent in the rafters. They weren't killers, just recorders, beaming every word, every twitch to her servers. Insurance, in case the swap glitched mid-confrontation. Elias pulled up 10 minutes later, gravel crunching under his tires like bones under boot. He emerged from the car a silhouette of tailored menace, overcoat flapping in the chill wind off the Potomac. No entourage tonight, that was the hook. Family only.
He'd think.
Blood thicker than indictments. I met him at the door, forcing Marcus's lopsided smirk. You look like you could use a drink. Dad. His eyes flicked over me, his son, searching for cracks. Make it a double.
Scotch.
If you've got the balls to raid my cabinet. We settled in the den. A Spartan space with leather club chairs and a wall safe yawning open. Papers spilling like guts. I poured from the decanter, hand steady despite the neural hum building in my skull, another glitch brewing. Marcus's memories surfacing like bile. Flashes, him as a kid, peeking through the study door as Elias screamed at Mom. Accusations flying about weakness and ruining the legacy. The night she left, suitcase in hand, only for Elias to have her tailed. Evidence planted by dawn. Talk, Elias said, swirling his glass, ice clinking like handcuffs. The feds, what do they have? I leaned forward, elbows on knees, channeling every late-night strategy session we'd faked together. Enough. Wire transfers to the Caymans, the IP reroute on Quantum Shield. And Echo, someone's leaking trial logs. Names, dates, the works. His face didn't crack, but the glass paused mid-sip. Impossible. Echo scrubbed. Not all of it. I pulled the thumb drive from my pocket, Marcus's pocket, tossing it onto the coffee table like a live grenade. Valerie had copies. From the lab accident. She knew you framed her for Marcus's screw-up. Lie layered on truth. The oldest con. Elias's jaw tightened, a muscle ticking like a bomb timer. He snatched the drive, slotting it into a laptop on the side table. Screen blooming blue. Files cascaded. Falsified reports. My Valerie's confession email taking the fall. Timestamps damning him. His breath hitched, just once, before the mask slammed down. Clever girl, he murmured, eyes on the glow. But sloppy. She thinks this buries me? I've got senators in my pocket deeper than her little Ohio accent. Rage flickered, mine. Hot and unbidden. This was the man who'd wooed me with tales of building something lasting, only to gut me for a quarterly bump. It's not just her, I pressed, voice dropping to Marcus's confidential timbre. The DOD's pulling funding. Feds raided Blackthorn an hour ago. They're calling it a national security breach, your breach. He laughed then, low and venomous, leaning back like a king on his throne. And you, my loyal son, feeding me this fairy tale? What's your angle? Marcus? The corner office too small now? Or is it her, still pining for the trailer trash bride you dumped? The words landed like slaps, each one peeling back the varnish on their bond. Marcus's memories searched, holidays ruined by Elias's rages. Achievements dismissed as not quite. The proposal?
Pushed by Dad.
A merger masked as matrimony. She was leverage, Elias had said post-breakup, clapping Marcus's back over stakes at Morton's. Smart, but disposable. Now find someone with a pedigree. I stood, chair scraping, the room tilting as the glitch peaked, dizziness crashing like a hangover wave. Leverage? That's all I was to you? To both of you. Elias rose too.
Slower.
Predatory. Sit down.
Boy.
You're overwrought. But his eyes sharpened. Suspicion dawning. Wait. The drones activated then. A faint whir betraying them. Elias spun, spotting the glint in the beams. What the? He lunged for the laptop. Fingers flying over keys, failsafes. Lena had warned. Kill switches embedded in Echo's core. Too late. I tackled him, Marcus's frame slamming his father's with a thud that rattled my teeth. We grappled across the rug, scotch spilling in amber arcs, his fists surprisingly wiry for a 65-year-old. Traitor, he snarled, knee driving into my gut. You're not my son. The admission hung. Electric. I pinned him, forearm across his throat, breath ragged. No shit. I'm the one you buried.
Valerie. Remember me?
His eyes bulged, recognition dawning through the chokehold, neural echoes. Perhaps, or just the impossible made flesh. The swap. Echo. You bitch. He bucked. Free hand clawing for a drawer, gun. No doubt. The paranoid prick. I headbutt him, stars exploding in my vision, blood trickling warm from his brow. The drones captured it all, confession spilling as he gasped. It was for the greater good, America first. You naive slut. Your tech. My vision. Mom? She was collateral. Weak link. Collateral.
The word ignited me.
I released, staggering back as he coughed, scrambling for the pistol. But the front door burst open, feds, black vests and barrels leveled, Lena's final tip routing them straight to us. Federal agents. Hands up. Elias froze. Gun half-drawn. Face twisting in betrayal's final sting. Marcus, son. Help me. I raised my hands, his hands smirking through split lips. Sorry. Dad. Wrong body. Chaos erupted. Zip ties clicking. Miranda rights droning like a dirge. They hauled him out. Flashbolts popping in the night. News choppers thumping overhead. I played the hero, whistleblower son, saving the day while inside, Valerie screamed for air. The glitch had worsened. Marcus's essence clawed back. Whispers of stop.
Val.
This'll destroy us all, echoing in the hollows. By dawn, I was in a safe house of their making, FBI black site in Arlington. Questions firing like rounds. How'd you know? Where's the real Marcus? I spun half-truths. Lena's script holding. But the strain mounted. Visions doubled. Agents morphing into boardroom ghosts. My old self pleading from a holding cell where Lena had parked my body. Sedated and secret. Release came by noon. Cooperating witness status buying time. But as I stepped into the sunlight, free but fractured, the real controversial call loomed. Swap back. Or deeper. Elias was cuffed. Empire crumbling. Stocks tanking. Headlines baying Crow Dynasty falls. Neural tech scandal rocks DC. Revenge tasted sweet.
Pyrrhic.
Yet Marcus's body whispered mercy. A chance to rebuild from the ruins. I drove to Lena's. Windows down. Wind whipping lies from my hair. Finish it, I told her over the line. Into him. Elias. Let me end it proper. Her silence stretched. Then, Val. That's suicide. The old man's anchors are ironclad. You'll drown.
Drown?
I'd been sinking since the handshake. Then pour me an anchor. The rig hummed alive that night, electrodes biting like promises. As consciousness tore free, Marcus's form slumping empty, I plunged into the abyss, toward the devil himself. Slipping into Elias Crow was like drowning in tar, slow, suffocating. Every inch a battle against the man's iron will. His body hit me like a freight train, 65 years of boardroom bourbon and backroom deals etched into arthritic joints. A paunch straining against the silk shirt, heart stuttering under the weight of pacemakers and pills. I gasped awake in the federal holding cell. Fluorescent buzz drilling my skull. Orange jumpsuit chafing like regret. What the fuck? A guard barked, peering through the bars as Elias, clutched the cot. Vertigo spinning the cinderblock walls. The glitch was apocalypse now. Dual streams. My mind fracturing under his. Valerie's fury clashing with Elias's empire builder ego. Memories of wheeling deals with Kissinger. Bearing scandals in Swiss vaults. The night he pushed Mom down the stairs, not an OD. The lie he'd sold. A fall to silence her echo pleas. It poured in unfiltered. The greater good.
He justified.
America armored against China. Russia. The endless parade of threats only he could see. My tech. Just a cog in his manifest destiny machine. But power? Even caged. It pulsed. I accessed his mental Rolodex, senators' dirty laundry, generals' mistresses, whispered commands that made the guard fumble his keys. "Call my lawyer," I croaked, voice gravel from disuse, but laced with that crow command.
He did.
Averting eyes as if I'd hexed him. Bail hearing by afternoon, a circus in the D.C. Superior Court, reporters swarming like flies on roadkill. I stood in the dock, wrists chafed by cuffs, projecting defiance as the judge, a crony from the old days, banged the gavel. Released on $10 million bond. Pending investigation. Outside. Flashbulbs popped. Questions hailing. Mr. Crow. Neural mind control? Human experimentation. I smirked Elias's smirk, the one that said, "Above your pay grade," and slipped into the waiting Escalade. The driver was a ghost from the firm, Hank, ex-Marine with a scar bisecting his lip. Boss. The board's panicking. Stocks down 40%. What now? Now. I leaned back. Pill bottle rattling in my pocket, nitroglycerin for the ticker. Irony's little joke. We fight. Rally the troops. And find my son. My son. The words twisted. Marcus's empty shell haunting me. Lena had stashed him, my old body, in a cryopod. Neural stasis buying hours, maybe days. But the feds? They'd raid her lab by dusk. Tips I'd plant as Elias. Controversial? Planting false flags to torch an innocent's life? In D.C.
It was Tuesday.
Back at the brownstone Georgetown fortress. Now a siege under paparazzi drones, I barricaded in the study. Safe cracked open to vaults of cash and code. Echo's master drive, the full blueprint. Swaps perfected for the elite. Immortality for the 1%. I'd end it here. Upload a virus to fry the lot. But first, the reckoning. Marcus called at twilight, my voice. Lena puppeteering the shell. Elias. You son of a bitch. It's over. Feds have the trials. The bodies. You're done. I laughed. His laugh. Rich and ruinous. Valerie. Still playing dress-up? Echoes bigger than you. It was always bigger. Silence. Then her hiss. Bigger than pushing your wife downstairs? Then frying Tech's fear god complex? I took the fall for your boy once. No more. The line died. I smashed the phone. Shards glittering like broken trust. Hours blurred. Calls to fixers. Shredding docs. A final scotch as sirens wailed closer. The climax crested at midnight. Lena's lab feed hacked. Showing feds breaching. Tasers crackling. Marcus's body slumped in the pod. Lena fighting futile. Her scream cut short. Rage, ours, intertwined, propelled me. I drove to Quantico. Elias's credentials flashing gold. Bluffing past checkpoints to the DoD demo site. The quantum shield swarm waited in the hangar. My drones. His abomination. Humming alive under floodlights. Technicians scattered as I approached. Overrides barking for his phone. Stand down, a colonel yelled. Sidearm drawn. Crow. You're under. I activated the swarm. Drones lifted in eerie unison. Rotors whispering death. AI eyes glowing red with echo code. Not destruction, subversion. They turned on the feds' convoy cresting the hill. Not with missiles, but mines, neural pulses scrambling comms, inducing blackouts in agents' vehicles. SUVs swerved, crashing in a symphony of twisted metal. No fatalities, Lena's mercy subroutine, but chaos enough to cover my escape. The colonel fired. Bullet grazing my shoulder, Elias's shoulder, hot bloom of pain grounding me. I fled into the woods. Drones covering. His heart, seizing in protest. Collapse came a mile in. Chest vice-tight. Vision swirling. Mom's face. Forgiving Marcus's. Pleading mine. Fierce and fading. Medevac choppers thumped overhead by dawn, lifting the husk to Walter Reed. In recovery. Tubes snaking. The twist hit like lightning. Monitors beeping. A nurse leaning in. Mr. Crow? Your son's here. Marcus, no. Lena. Puppeteering. Entered. My old body gaunt but eyes blazing mine. You did it, she whispered, gripping the rail. Swarms fried. Echoes ash. But the feds. They think you confessed. Suicide note on your drive. Framed yourself to bury it all. Genius. My plan. Inverted. Elias's empire? Crumbled. Pinned on his remorse. But the reversal, in dying or swapping back, I'd become him. The guilt. The ghosts. Seeping permanent. Lena squeezed my hand, his hand. Val, you in there? I blinked. Voice croak. Always was. Ending? Debatable as hell. Justice served. But at what cost? America hailed the whistleblower. Statues maybe in some think tank hall. But me? Forever fractured. A woman in a dead man's skin. Wondering if revenge freed or just chained us tighter. The feds closed in that noon. Case wrapped neat. But the real agents? They lingered in the mirror. Unblinking. Fade to gray.